Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So it is Saturday, June 24th, right at 10 a.m. Temperature's about 80 degrees, humidity's just about the same at 80%. We've received a lot of rain over the last week. In fact, we've had about 3 inches at the house. And I'm actually walking out to swarm trap number 2, the trap that's closest to the road over by the bee yard, to finally tend to swarm number 12 that moved in about a week ago. I think last Thursday was the first day that I noticed any activity on the swarm trap. And on the way out there, I noticed all this activity. So, got a few things to do. I'll tend to trap number 2, and then I'll probably get into this swarm maybe next week. I was coming out here to the bee yard to get into swarm number 12, which moved in to the corner trap over there, or the trap closest to the road. And then, as y'all saw, come out to the yard, hear a lot of commotion, which sounds a lot like a hive swarming. And unfortunately, number 3, the strongest hive that we have, finally decided to that it was time to move on, and had some patience, figured where they were swarming to. And I don't know if you can tell from the GoPro, but that is a massive swarm. A little hard to get to. It's kind of behind my supply stand, but if I make my way over into the brush here, there were a ton of bees on top of the brush right here, but they're starting to settle, and that's where they're at. So luckily I purchased a 25 or 30 foot pole, extension pole used for painting. I have a bucket set up, and now it's just a matter of figuring out how to get them. So that's what I'm up to today. So I went from moving, or plans to get swarm number 12 relocated. Saw swarm number 13 moved in, like I said, but I'm going to give them a week. But now it's a rescue operation to get what is now swarm number 14 out of the tree, into a bucket, into some equipment, and kind of see how that works. So yeah, that's kind of how beekeeping goes. You come out to the yard to do one thing, and that one thing gets put on pause because something else is going on, and that is a hive actively swarming. And luckily enough, you can see where I keep my bees, surrounded by a lot of mature trees, vegetation, and brush. And for one reason or the other, they definitely enjoy these pine trees right here. That's the 2nd or 3rd swarm I've had settle into that general area. So all right, let me figure a few things out. And all right, just a quick update. So I grabbed my swarm catching equipment, bought this pole a few months ago, outfitted a bucket with a paint roller to attach to the pole, and had to borrow some equipment from the club. But here it is. It's about 11:30, so about 90 minutes since coming out here and watching hive number 3 swarm, which is swarm number 13. And if you can tell or not, they are settling in, and they are actually weighing that branch down pretty significantly. So that is a large swarm, and of course in a tough to get to location, but I am going to try my darndest to get directly underneath them or close as possible and see if I can get them out of the tree into the bucket, into the equipment, which I am probably going to find some room maybe right here next to that swarm number 9 from the elementary school, or maybe slide everything just a little bit and put them at the very end of the yard. But all TBD. Doesn't really matter if I can't get them out of the tree, but I am going to try and see what I can get done. Oh, I just noticed this. There are 2. I have a swarm here and a swarm over there. Good God. All right, gotta figure some stuff out today. All right, quick update. So it's about noon. I've been messing with the second swarm over there for about 20 minutes. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have the bucket as close as possible to them, which I don't know, doesn't really seem to be doing too much. So I'm gonna give that about 10-15 minutes, see if they start going into the bucket, and if not, switch gears to the second swarm right here, which I believe is the swarm that came out of number 3. As you can see, they've completely settled down, so a lot of work to do. I did not see that second swarm until coming out here after getting the equipment from the club, but we'll see. Try to make the most of it. Hard to get to area, battling a lot of thick brush, which doesn't make it any easier. Just found the marked queen. I need to find her again. I think she's over here, but she was really easy to spot with a red dot. Hopefully she didn't fly off in the 2 seconds. I just saw her. Oh man. She's here. All right, let me see if I can get them dumped. Maybe I can find her again. Who knows? Come on. Where's she at? It's just after 1 o'clock. I've managed to get some bees in the box here. I'm still uncertain if I have the queen or not, because they're not really fanning like she's in there. I didn't get it on film, or I don't think I did, but I actually saw the queen in the first time I hit the branch with the bucket. Looked away for a second to get a queen clip, and she was gone. I think she flew back to the branch. As you can see now, there's a decent cluster of bees on the right side, but they're all spread out throughout that branch. That's swarm 13. Swarm 14 is still over there in the very hard to get area. And I'm about to take a break because I've been out here for maybe 2.5 hours, or maybe 3 hours, and I'm definitely going to get inside in the shade, get something cool to drink, and I'll give myself maybe an hour or 2 break, come back out and see if I can make any progress later this afternoon. So it is just after 2 o'clock. Temperature says 88 degrees, but it also says it feels like it's 95 degrees. Humidity is like 58% or so. I took about an hour break just to cool off, get some food in me, hydrate a little bit, and I'm just gonna give y'all an update on all the swarm traps today. So as you can see, there's like one bee hanging out in the entrance, but not a lot of activity at all from how things looked earlier today. And I'm starting to think that the two swarms in the trees may have been a lot of those scout bees checking out that trap. So I'm just gonna walk down to the yard and show you everything else that's going on. No change on swarm trap number 3, which is swarm number 12. That's a good thing. My morning was severely delayed due to walking out to the yard and finding hive number 3 in the middle of swarming. And in fact, that prompted me to get swarm trap number 2 rehung. So let's see what's going on out here. I managed to dump a whole lot of bees, as y'all saw, into the equipment I borrowed from the club, but good God, look at this. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but probably not. Let me get on top of the ladder. So I'm assuming this is hive number 3 that's swarmed to this location, and I guess giving them about an hour break to settle back in might give me another chance to try and get them relocated back into some equipment. But if you can see that or not, right about there is another swarm, and surprisingly that is extremely difficult to reach. So unfortunately they are probably going to have to move on to something better. All right, well, hey, round 2, here we go. It is hotter than it was this morning, but it doesn't feel so hot right now. Then again, I just got out here, but I am going to try again to get them into some equipment. All right, there we go. Wish me luck. So I just popped the top on the equipment I'm using, and oh man, I tell you what, all of this morning's effort, for nothing so far. Check it out. None of the bees stayed, which shows me that the queen is still in the tree. So, here we go. Round 2, like I said, starts now. All right, check this out, everybody. So I'm assuming they are getting tired of me trying to capture them, because I bumped the branch once and the entire colony just took off. And now I am trying to figure out where they're going to settle next. So TBD. Golly, I'll tell you what. All right, folks, so it's just about 2:45 and I am finally getting to what my original purpose was today, which again is to get into swarm trap number 3, move swarm number 12 into some 5-frame equipment, let the 5-frame equipment basically just rest on top of the ladder, give the bees until maybe tomorrow afternoon, or actually tomorrow evening, to reorientate from where the trap is to the top of the ladder. And then tomorrow night I will simply move them 30 plus feet, give or take, out into the yard, wherever I decide to basically get them situated. Pretty much decided to let the swarms be. The silver lining, if you can't recapture one of your colonies that swarmed, is it does create a natural brood break, which is also an excellent time to treat for varroa, depending on how you treat. I have 2 types of oxalic acid now. The Florida Labs brand, which is what I use when I don't have supers on, and then the other brand that I haven't committed to memory, but if you watch a previous video I show what that brand is, and they are cleared with the FDA and EPA and everybody else, and it specifically says that you can use that brand of oxalic acid whenever you do have honey supers on. So It's nice to have options. That basically allows me to treat throughout the entire season. All right, let's get into what is swarm number 12. Take a first look, get them moved over into this 5-frame equipment. Like I said earlier, get them put back on top of the ladder so all the bees that are currently foraging can find their new home. And then, oh man, look at that. 1 week's time. They've drawn out all that extra, all that comb in just a week. That is crazy. Didn't draw anything out on the frame, which is unfortunate. And they're drawing some funky comb there, but that's a problem for another day. Same here. Kind of expect it whenever I leave the swarms in the trap for a week or so. And yeah, they have a laying queen. I don't know if that's going to come up on video or not, but yeah, they have a laying queen. There's eggs in that new wax, which is very easy to see when you have the black plastic foundation. I'm just glancing over each frame rather quickly. I'm always curious if I have caught a marked queen, which that has yet to happen this season. I had a chance earlier today, but I didn't get to her fast enough. Alright, there are a ton of bees in the box, and I'll show you that here in a second. To where, you know, let's do a few things. Alright, let's see. I'm actually going to grab another deep, put on top of this one, and then bang the rest of the bees, as you can see, which are a whole lot, bang them down into the second deep. But I'm going to remove a few frames just to give them space, and I'll show you all that here in a second. Let's see. Just going to grab the wax that they drew out. Make sure the queen's not on there. Kind of shake her, or shake that aside. And some more wax down here. Same there. Grab the pill bottle, and then just like every other swarm, really, how's that for a trick? All right, get all the frames put back. All right, basically, let's see, what do I need to do? There's a handful of bees on the swarm inner cover. Get them down into the trap and close up this stacked 5-frame. I need to go get a ratchet strap, and then I'll put them on top of the ladder here in a second. All right, there you have it, folks. Nothing to it. In just a matter of a few hours, all of the bees that are originally orientated to the tree, they'll find their new home. They'll find the new entrance. Same thing with all the bees kind of on the side of the box. They'll find the entrance here in a few hours. So that's it for swarm number 12. Probably should have did that first thing this morning, but as you all saw, got sidetracked with a swarming colony and 2 swarms hanging in trees that just weren't easy to get to, and decided to let them move on to hopefully greener pastures. But nonetheless, you know, lost 2, gained 1. It's kind of how it goes with beekeeping. All right, everybody. Hey, it's just about 3 o'clock. I'm trying to find some shade. This is by far the most time I have spent in the yard in a very long time. And as you can see, you might come out to get in your bees thinking you're gonna do something specific, which for me today, that was getting into one of the swarm traps to get our 12th swarm of the season moved over to some equipment. And like I was saying, as you can see, sometimes the bees have different plans for you. So I am exhausted, to say the least. So I am heading back to the house. The next part of the video will be tomorrow. Yeah, it sounds good. Depending how swarm number 12 is doing, which based off all the other swarms from this season, they'll be situated in the 5-frame equipment, the stacked 5-frame equipment, later today. And then I'll give them all tomorrow to reorientate, which I have no doubt they will. And then just like relocating the swarms in the past, I'll move them probably tomorrow night after dark, close up the entrance and move them out into the bee yard, open the entrance, and then give them the week to basically get situated on their new home, and then incorporate them into my bi-weekly hive inspections. So that's it for today. Just wanted to share everything that happened today. A lot of chaos. I didn't have a chance to capture everything just because I was out here by myself and trying to use the extension pole with the bucket and trying to catch the swarms. Like, it just, I don't know, it just wasn't happening today. And as y'all saw, like where we have our bees, I love this location, but at the same time, when it comes to swarms that perch themselves in some pine tree limbs that are back in the thick of the brush, it is near impossible to capture those swarms. So maybe it's just not meant to be. All right, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. June 24th, Saturday afternoon, hot. Heat index is like mid 90s, probably close to 100 by now, and I'm feeling it. So hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of the video, which is just simply me checking on swarm number 12, getting them moved over into the yard. So as you can see, it's been less than 10 minutes and all the bees are off the tree. They're like in this side of the box for whatever reason, and then eventually they'll find the entrance and call it home. All right, here it is the following day. It's Sunday, June 25th, right at 4 p.m. Temperature is about 85 degrees. Humidity is in the low 60s. And I had a suspicion I might find something like this. So I have a plan. I have a traditional solid bottom board. I'm gonna remove the plywood bottom board, outfit them with a solid bottom board, which will give them a complete traditional entrance, which is way more than what they have now. My memory serves me right, that's like 3/4 of an inch or a 1 inch hole opening, and that should help basically give the hive a little more ventilation, a better entrance obviously, and prevent the cluster of bees from hanging out on the outside. I also have a decent amount of bees coming and going from the swarm trap, so I'll take a look in the trap after I pull the stacked 5-frame down off of the ladder, get the bottom board situation figured out. All right, I'm just finishing up. So I took the solid bottom board off the 5-frame, swapped it out with the traditional, like I said. These are all the bees that were inside some of the equipment between swapping the frames around. So I'm just trying to give them some smoke to entice them to get inside their new home. And once the majority are inside the equipment, we'll take a look over here and figure out what's going on inside the swarm trap. All right, well, I don't do too much stuff off camera, but I did this time. So initially I was thinking to set the swarm trap over on the left ladder, the shorter one, just placing it in close proximity to the equipment. But instead, I decided to bang out the swarm trap on this sheet here. And then my thought process was basically I'm forcing the bees to find a new home. And I also placed the swarm trap upside down over on the supply stand, so they don't have a home they're used to going to. Again, hoping that forces them to find the colony. So I'm just going to give them some smoke here in a second, hopefully clear most of the bees off the sheet. And so I ended up smoking the bees on the blanket like I said I would, and then ended up picking the blanket up and just shaking it, getting all the bees in the air. And that seemed to do the trick, because there are no bees on the ground. A few on the cinder block, which I'm not too worried about, but it looks like the majority have found their way home to their new home, and they definitely have more space now, which I believe is exactly what they needed with the traditional bottom board versus my original design, which is this very small opening, which does work because I originally made this box for swarm relocations, but as y'all saw, that small opening just doesn't provide enough space for a larger colony, which is why I grabbed a traditional solid bottom board today. All right, I'm gonna let them settle for the next few days and might end up moving them over into the bee yard maybe midweek, and of course I'll show you all that. All right, that's it for this weekend. All right, here it is, Tuesday, June 27th, right at 8:30. The sun is actually scheduled to set right now, but we still have about 30 minutes of twilight left. Temperature's about 80 degrees, humidity's in the mid 70s. I have my smoker lit just to drive any bees that are on the entrance of swarm number 12 back into the equipment, so I can use a towel, close up the entrance. And I decided to get them moved over onto the hive stand, and I'm gonna move them down into the very first position just because I have some space down there. But looking at the weather apps, we have some rain in the forecast for the next 10 minutes. That should last about an hour. And the last time I was out here to relocate a swarm that I caught from its current location or on top of the ladder to on top of the hive stand, it was well after dark, probably about 9 o'clock or 9:30. And if you can't tell where I keep my bees, once the sun goes down and it's nightfall, it does get dark back here, and I just have to make do with a flashlight. But let's take a look at the entrance, and surprisingly, yeah, we still have a few foraging bees returning from conducting some work, but surprisingly not too many bees at the entrance. So let me grab my towel, get everything closed up, get them moved from on top of the ladder, and get them situated on top of the hive stand. All right, folks, that's it. That's as easy as it gets from moving a swarm from on top of the ladder over onto the bee yard stand. The next part of the video will be this weekend when I get into the hive for the very first time to conduct an inspection. All right, here it is, 9 o'clock, and like I said earlier, there's some rain in the forecast. I finished up just in time. All right, hey, here we are. A few days later, it's Friday, June 30th, right at 2:30 p.m. Temperature is about 88 degrees, humidity is about 54%, and the bees have been over in their new location for just shy of 3 days, actually 3 days this evening. And let me show you the previous location. Kind of surprised to see this amount of bees still congregating at their old location. So let's walk back to the bee yard and show y'all the hive entrance activity, where I placed them in the #1 position, which they do have a nice amount of activity, mainly due to being a fairly decent sized swarm. So I'm going to get into them for the first time, conduct a hive inspection really in the bottom box here, but we'll take a look at the top box and see what they've been up to. And if I find the queen, I'll get her marked, released, and that's pretty much it for today. All right, here we go. Let's take a little bit of a first look. Well, we've got bees in the top box. It's always nice to see. Not really expecting too much work to be done in the top box. Again, this extra space was only added 3 days ago. A few months ago, they may have made more progress with that time frame being in the middle of the nectar flow and everything, but not expecting too much progress right now. However, as I say that, I'll show you the next frame. So that is actually pretty nice to see. Very nice new wax being drawn out. All right, I'm just gonna go through the rest of the top box, which there doesn't seem to be too much activity on the remaining 3 frames, and mainly get into the bottom box, hopefully find the queen, get her marked, and call it a day. This colony's building some really funky comb. So, in hindsight, it may not have been a terrible idea to take the time and try and re-wax some of these frames, because from what I know, that is one of the leading reasons for colonies to draw out some odd comb, and basically that's what I'm talking about right there. Instead of building it directly off the embossed hexagons that's imprinted on the plastic foundation, they end up doing stuff like that, which, does it truly affect anything? I don't think so. It would just be nice if you know, they drew everything out nice and perfect. Yeah, check that out. So in the last 3 days, a lot of the cells that contained eggs that were uncapped, it looks like they've become capped. So that's always nice to see. And now, oh, there she is right there. Check that out. A marked queen. How about that? So that could be, where'd she go? That could be one of mine. How interesting. A marked queen. Huh. Okay, well, that is the last thing I thought I would find. All right, well, hey, I'm actually not gonna really mess with them. I'm just gonna let them do their thing. So that's not a, it's not like it's a newly mated queen. If it is hive number 3 or one of maybe another colony, because it's been a few weeks since I've gotten into the colonies. My recent focus was honey harvesting, but yeah, let's get her released and call it a day. All right, here we go. Let's get her down into the colony. All right, nope. All right, hey, there you have it, folks. So that was a pretty interesting find. I was not expecting to find a marked queen. In fact, that is the very first marked queen that I have found from a swarm I caught this season. So, hey, thanks for watching. That does it for this video. Swarm number 12, queen right, which I knew they were once I moved the frames from the swarm trap over to the equipment, because I found plenty of cells that had eggs. But it's always nice and very reassuring to actually find the queen herself. So again, hey, thanks for watching. Haven't been out here long, but it is hot. All right, that does it for me. So you'll start hearing me saying this a little more often because we have some honey available. If you are interested in some truly delicious local and raw wildflower honey, get in touch with us. Best way to do so, just swing over to our Instagram page. The link tree link will provide every single way to contact us. Whatever works best for you works best for us. So just get a hold of us. We'll make arrangements and try to get you a jar of our 2023 spring natural, local and raw, delicious wildflower honey from right here in Southwest Onslow County. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See y'all next time.